There is a new study on alcohol that we want to talk about. It shows a sharp rise in alcohol-related deaths over the past few decades, especially among women. Specifically, the number of Americans killed by alcohol more than doubled between 1999 and 2017. That was also interesting, or what was also interesting rather, the largest increase in deaths were among white women, although men died at a higher rate. But another study that does have some good news is cancer-related deaths. Overall, cancer deaths have fallen by 29%, and it's estimated that nearly 3 million people are alive today that would have otherwise died, with lung cancer survival playing a major role. So the latter, obviously, really great news. I got to revert back to alcoholism because that's something that's also really near and dear to me in my life. And I think it all correlates together. We talk about PTSD. We know a lot of our soldiers dealing with PTSD, a way to self-medicate is through alcoholism. We know that depression is on the rise steadily. It is not on the decline, despite all the self-awareness that we have. And experts, Jeff, you talk about this all the time, they point to the fact that we are so glued on our screens, we are not social anymore, that we become so introverted that we self-medicate. So if you're going to be mentally ill, you're not getting help, you're stuck on a screen, and you're self-medicating with alcohol, that's going to be on the incline synonymously with mental illness on the incline. It's really scary.
Yeah, I mean, there's that aspect to it for sure, but there's also just the social aspect to it. You know what I mean? There's all these pillows and t-shirts. It's wine o'clock, wine on Wednesdays, why not? It's wine time. You know what I mean? It's like social, it's cute, everyone puts it out. That's a start of alcoholism. If you're drinking every single day and you're not controlling it, that's a sign of alcoholism. It has nothing to do with mental health. It's just like, hey, I'm trying to fit in with everybody, and all of a sudden I find myself drinking 7 days a week.
Well, yeah, that's what happens, and it happens slowly. And if you want to talk about alcoholism, you look at your stand-up comics, and all the comics that I work with today, including myself, don't drink anymore, really don't drink anymore. It's like, well, why did the people that are handed free drinks pushing them away? It's like, because we've seen firsthand what that does to your life and what happens to the people that come to see us. There were people who were moved from my show this past weekend because they were drinking too much, and these are adults. Look, that wine o'clock, happy hour, all these euphemisms that we use for a thing that you're in a room drinking at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
And it's acceptable.
That's what it is.
Right.
And until you have to confront that, we will always have this issue, and it's difficult because it's always mixed in with a celebratory thing.
Well, and you've talked about the destigmatization of alcohol. We obviously know, and it's not shocking, that cancer has that lung cancer has actually decreased the most because we all know that cigarettes are bad for you. But there's no one that's saying like, oh, wine is bad because wine is a social drink. Wine is sophisticated. But when you're drinking 3 bottles at night, it becomes a problem. And you talked about the self-awareness. Regardless of all the self-awareness we have, I think that contributes to the problem even more. I was very open and honest about the fact that I was looking for a black female therapist. I was having a really difficult time finding one. I recognize, probably more than anything, about talking about these subjects on the show, that I am too aware to not be getting assistance in my awareness. And I think that sometimes when we are so aware of ourselves and the world around us, we think we have it under control. But that might be the perfect time to get help. And I have found someone. I've been going to her for 4 months.
Good for you.
Or 3 months, and it has been amazing. And I have absolutely no shame in it because I realize that I'm more of a whole person than I was 3 months ago.
Hey, I hope, you know what, Erica, I remember having the conversation with you live on air, and I remember being shocked that you were having such a difficult time reaching out to someone that you felt like you could identify with. And just to know that you feel more whole today is, I think, a sentiment, and hopefully gives a lot of our viewers hope who are considering going to therapy. I hope that they have the ability. I mean, it's the resources out there. They're there, but it is difficult. So I'm glad that your testament is hopefully giving a lot of people some hope.